There's ball one to Bill Miller, leading it off for the Red Sox here in the last of the fifth against Jeff Weaver. And Weaver has been outstanding so far tonight. He's got a one-hitter going. He got through a tough two-out jam in the first inning successfully as Miller hits one just foul right past Jerry Lane, the first base umpire. 1 ball, 1 strike to Miller. Bill Miller, who, as Rick Sutcliffe mentioned earlier in our telecast tonight, came up originally with the San Francisco Giants and was an important player on some very strong Giants clubs. He drives that one deep out into Death Valley. Mondesi all the way back, and he makes the catch very close to the spot where Dwight Evans took away a home run from Joe Morgan in the '75 World Series. And that's why they call it Death Valley. That's a home run at Yankee Stadium by several rows.
Well, and it's also an extra base hit with a lot of other right fielders out here. This is a difficult angle to play. You got to not only know where the baseball is going to come down, you got to know where you're at, but John, you got to want to catch that ball. You know you're running out of room. You know it's a hostile environment waiting on you with those fans here in Boston, yet Mondesi makes the play.
Now here's Jason Varitek, and that curveball inside. 1 ball, no strikes to Varitek, who grounded out to second his first time. Well, if Jeff Weaver was pitching at Yankee Stadium, Bill Miller had himself a home run. And instead, he was able to utilize the rather fine talents of Raul Mondesi as an outfielder. Mondesi is, and always has been, a very fine outfielder with a great arm. When Dwight Evans caught that ball against Joe Morgan in the World Series, in that famous Game 6 in '75, he then threw back toward first, and they turned it into a double play. To left field, toward the wall. That one is off the wall. Matsui going over to try and find that Karen. Easing into second is Varitek. Just a high, lazy fly that scraped off the wall.
Oh, when you talk about lineups and who the best lineup in baseball is, you got to take a good look at these two. You couldn't blame anybody that would vote for them when you have this kind of power from your 9th spot. Varitek, 17 homers, 62 RBIs on the year, right at 300. Mondesi hitting to ninth for the New York Yankees for Joe Torre. He, too, with that same kind of power.
And Varitek, even though he tripped coming around first, able to easily make it into second, as Matsui had all kinds of trouble coming up with that Karen. There's not a whole lot of room to work for a left fielder along that left field line. The stands come right out very close to the line. Ball 1 to Johnny Damon, the leadoff man. You see how the third base stands cut out right next to the foul line. And there's maybe, what, 3-4 feet of foul territory along that wall. It goes all the way down into the corner. Johnny Damon 0 for 2. A base hit could mean a run. And Weaver just missed with that one.
Almost like an off day yesterday for Johnny Damon. 5 at-bats, 4 walks. And he was telling me he should have walked 5 times, but he just ran out of patience. And he took a swing at some pitches he shouldn't have.
Joe Torre had Benitez walk him intentionally, even though he knew Ortiz, another lefty, was coming up as a pinch hitter. And that's inside, 3-0. Todd Walker on deck. Now, by the way, we're talking about what a great offense the Red Sox have. This, with Damon up there and Varitek at second, is the beginning of the 3rd time through the batting order, when an experienced team like the Red Sox might make some adjustments against Weaver. That's a strike. 3-1.
This is the only guy in the Boston Red Sox lineup tonight that's not hitting over 300 here at home. That being Johnny Damon. He comes in currently at 292. So they have lived this year with big innings. They're looking for another one now.
Red Sox team average at Fenway is 327. Mondesi's going back again. And again, this one will stay in the yard. 380 feet to the wall out there where Mondesi caught that one as Varitek tags up and moves over to third.
You know how they say it's not only how you play, but when you play? Well, you got to put right along with that where you play. is, as you said, it would be 2-0 right now because of the balls hit to Mondesi. You throw in Varitek's double. If you're at New York with that short right field porch, there's all of a sudden a lead for the Red Sox. They're not. They're here at home.
Well, plus, if you're a pitcher and a smart pitcher, pitching to the same hitters here versus Yankee Stadium, you might pitch entirely different depending on what ballpark you're in. Here's Todd Walker, who has popped to first and singled. Red Sox looking for that clutch 2-out hit. Nice save by Posada. He saved a run there.
He's just gotten better and better every year. We all know that he was a converted infielder in 1992. Look at him looking for that breaking ball on the outer half of the plate. No chance to dive or get his body in front of it. He just simply came up with it like a former infielder would have. That's like a shortstop going in the hole. After he does that, he's got to go out and try to calm Jeff Weaver down. All 3 balls this inning that have been put in play in the air. His strength is getting ground balls. He's in the 5th inning. He knows he's got to go 5 to get that win. He's got to get another out.
1 ball, no strikes. 2 down, runner at third. Got the call on the inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Nomar Garcia-Parra would be next. Well, Yastrzemski, who played here all those years, used to call that area in right field, where Mondesi's caught 2 fly balls, Death Valley. And Fred Lynn, who's here tonight, by the way, said the same thing. It was particularly bad the first few weeks of the season. The wind would be blowing in from right field. It'd be cold, miserable, and you know, they talk about all the balls that they would crush into that area that would go nowhere.
I think about Nomar, too, and how the first month of the season, it's almost like he's playing on ice skates out there with the conditions, all of the rain.
That's hit hard, but right to Giambi. And Weaver gets through it with a little bit of an assist from Fenway Park itself. Matsui coming up. Yanks lead. With you, Sunday Night Baseball from Fenway Park. A sellout crowd here for the Yankees and the Red Sox. The Yankees with a 2.5 game lead in the American League East over Boston. And in this, the rubber match of this 3-game series, the Yankees hold a 2-0 advantage as Hideki Matsui, the 5th place hitter, then Jorge Posada and Nick Johnson get ready to bat against Derek Lowe of the Red Sox, an 11-game winner. So here's Matsui, chops one. Lowe can't get to it, and nobody's covering first. Well, it wouldn't have mattered anyway, as it turned out. Lowe, Millar, and Walker all went for that ball.
A little bit surprised that Kevin Millar attempted to go after that. You could see the angle Derek Lowe was taking. He was going to go try to get the baseball, which I think is the right thing. Even though it's not in line with the bag, they want you going towards the bag. It would have been a much easier play if Derek Lowe could have gotten there and Millar would have stayed home. But that's just one of those in-between hops. And, you know, when you got a guy like Matsui, who has played in every single game this year, they deserve hits like that.
That's his 2nd hit. You got a clutch 2-out RBI single to center his last time. Players who's played in every game, including Alex Rodriguez with Texas,
Garrett Anderson,
and Anderson of Anaheim, who's had quite a time at the All-Star game.
Wow, what a show he put on. Miguel Tejada again playing every game.
There's Posada. He bunts foul. Posada has walked twice against Lowe. And that's interesting. With Fenway Park and Posada, who has lots of power, he's hit 19 homers, is bunting.
He's walked already twice tonight. He was just looking to bunt for a base hit. That was not a sacrifice. It's all about team. It's all about on-base percentage and productive outs when you make them. Posada trying to stay out of that ground ball double play. That was one way to do it.
And he gets a ground ball base hit. Nixon in to field it. Matsui stops at second. So Posada with his first hit of the game. You mentioned on base percentage. Posada with a .404 on base average before tonight.
Well, he got the infield drawn in to where he wanted. First baseman had to stay home. A big gap there because up the middle defensively, they were cheating towards the second base bag. He got the alignment the way he wanted. He looked for a pitch to handle, and there's that on base percentage.
Here's Nick Johnson. He has singled to left. And then he was thrown out of a beautiful play by Derek Lowe to end the third inning with the bases loaded. That one just misses a little bit low. 1 ball, no strikes. 2 men on, nobody out here. Nick Johnson is hitting .310 for the year. Another guy who's very particular at the plate. Gets a lot of walks. His on-base average .451 coming into this game.
He's always been that kind of guy, even throughout the minor leagues.
That one gets through, and the runners advance. Matsui to third and Posada to second. Veritek. That one sank right through him.
I think what happened, I think Derek Lowe took something off of this and didn't let Jason Veritek know. You could see that when he went down there, he's looking for something a little bit harder that would have carried all the way to him. That fastball just 83 miles an hour on the radar gun. And that would have been an easy ball for him to block. Normally, I think he would have gotten it done. He's going to go out and have a conversation with the pitcher now.
Yeah, so, and if after a pitch like that, the catcher goes out, what does that tell you?
Well, you say, hey, if you're going to do it with somebody. Now, a lot of catchers will tell you, with nobody on, you can change speeds anytime you want. You can go from a fastball to a changeup. You can go from a fastball to anything off speed. You can't do it the other way around because you're going to handcuff me. But with men on base, you can't be doing that because I've got to keep everything in front of me. And I'm just guessing from here, but I believe that's what happened.
Casey Fossum, the left-hander, and Chad Fox, the right-hander, up in the Boston bullpen. The infield is in now for the Red Sox. Big moment here. Johnson trying to knock in some runs, but he hits it right to Todd Walker, who throws Matsui at third, and he throws out Johnson. So Johnson unable to get Matsui home from third.
Normally a real patient guy, but you got to blame him on this pitch. The ball was up where he wanted, but with Derek Lowe, you got to stay inside of it. You got to go to the opposite field normally to hit the ball in the air. He tried to pull it. He rolled over on it, and because Grady Little took a chance and brought that infield in, it's still a 2-0 game.
Now they're going to walk Ventura intentionally with the right-handed batting. Mondesi up next. So Grady Little is hoping to get out of this inning by facing just one more hitter.
That's it. This is a way where you can throw one pitch and get 2 outs. And you've got a guy out there on the mound that when he's right, and for the most part he's been right tonight, he's got a 4-to-1 ground ball ratio as opposed to fly ball. They need another one here, and they need it at somebody.
Well, he has picked up 2 ground ball double plays already in this game.
They both come in the last 2 innings.
You got Soriano, who is a tough man to double up with all of his amazing speed. Soriano ended the 4th of the double play, and then Bernie Williams ended the 5th inning with a double play. Mondesi's another guy who's not easy to double up. He's very fast and it's real explosive out of that batter's box. So the Red Sox talk it over at the mound now. Veritek's out there, and all the infielders except the first baseman Millar. 3 men on, 1 man out. This is perhaps a key spot in this ball game.
Well, I think it is. I think what Dave Wallace is reminding Derek Lowe is that, you know, don't fall in love with that sinker. Don't just think that you can only get out of the inning with a ground ball double play. Here's a guy who's a free swinger. The next guy, Soriano, a free swinger. Don't forget about that breaking ball on the outer half of the plate or beyond. They will expand the strike zones in these situations.
3 men on, 1 man out. The first baseman, Millar, in very shallow. Mondesi to third. This could be 2. Bill Miller bobbles the ball, and he'll only get 1 as a run scores. Miller unable to come up with it cleanly, and Matsui came in to score. Posada forced out at third. Ventura to second, and Mondesi reaches on the force out and gets an RBI.
The ball was absolutely smoked. Really a good job by Miller just staying down on it. Take a look at it. I mean, you try to come up with that cleanly, all kinds of bad things could have happened. If you try to force the throw to home plate to get the lead runner, again, bad things could have happened. That was an intelligent play.
So from the get-go, you're saying Miller made the decision, let's just make sure we get somebody out.
Well, if he could have come up with it cleanly, I honestly think the throw would have just gone home in that situation. When he didn't, he had to make sure of getting 1 out.
0-1 to Soriano, who is 0 for 3 He's lined out to second, struck out, and then he grounded into an inning-ending double play in the 4th. The Yanks now lead 3-0. Mondesi getting his 49th RBI of the year on that ground ball. He's at first. Ventura is at second. Both men are going anything with 2 down. And a grab on the short hop there by Varitek. 1 ball, 1 strike. Here's Ventura at second. Most of the infielders here at Fenway are not real complimentary about this infield as well. Although Bill Miller, he never seems to be very critical of anything or anybody. Derek Jeter, who also is, cut from that same cloth, but I asked Jeter about the infield. He said, it's better than it used to be.
Always being politically correct. And Derek Jeter's comments remind you a lot of his manager, Joe Torre.
Yeah. Or as Jeter calls him, Mr. Torre. Bill Miller, the long throw to first, right there. So the Yankees get just the 1. Now they lead 3-0. Garcia Parra, Manny Ramirez, David Ortiz coming up. Red Sox nothing. We go to the last of the 6th inning. And we want to thank our partners over at ESPN Deportes, especially Ernesto Jerez and Roberto Clemente Jr. We are in their booth now. Nomar, first ball swinging, and Mondesi, he started staggering under that one as the wind was doing something odd with it, apparently. But he ultimately stayed with it, made the play, 1 out.
Well, it might be the wind and also all of those people yelling at him that kind of balanced. The wind was pushing it towards right field down that line. You get all the fans yelling at him from that corner, it kind of straightens out a little bit on you.
The wind is actually blowing straight out at the moment, which ordinarily this summer here at Fenway, it's blowing straight out to left field. But there's some rain in the area. That is a ball off the outside to Manny Ramirez, who has walked and flied out to left. Three nothing. The Yankees lead. Jeff Weaver pitched a beauty so far. That's ball 2. He has only allowed 2 hits, but also he's had to work hard to do it. He's had a lot of deep counts in this game. He's thrown 92 pitches now.
Well, Joe Torre has to be enjoying what he's seeing here. 5 shutout innings put up against the best lineup production-wise in baseball. Joe Torre also wanted to send along his best wishes to Big Ed Walterman, Joe's father-in-law. That's Allie's dad. He had surgery. He's doing real well, and he wanted Big Ed to know that Joe's thoughts and prayers are with him. And we were happy to send along those best wishes.
All right. Always happy to hear that Big Ed is tuned in. That's a strike on the outside. 2-2 to Jeff from Jeff Weaver to Manny Ramirez. Weaver, who got roughed up in his most recent start against the Toronto Blue Jays this past Monday, gave up 5 runs and 11 hits in only 4 1/3 innings to Toronto. And he pops it up foul. Back out of play. Still 2 balls, 2 strikes to Manny Ramirez.
You know, they've been frustrated with Jeff Weaver. He got traded here last year during the month of July. A lot of ups and downs. The record continued to go up. He won 9 games in '99, then 11, then 13. They look for that trend to continue, but at just 26 years of age, they're not close to giving up on him yet. They may not keep him in the rotation all year long. He may not be part of the postseason, but I really look for him to be in that Yankee uniform for at least the next 3 or 4 years. Derek Lowe didn't put it together as a starter till he was 29 years of age. Kevin Brown, again, 27.
3-2 now. Breaking ball. The miss way outside. It's funny. I mean, there have been times tonight where he's thrown pitches that have not gone anywhere near where he wanted them to go, and yet he always seems to have been able to make the big pitch when he had adversity staring him in the face. He got through a bases loaded jam in the first inning. 3-2. That one is hit a mile but foul. Wow, it hit up into the light standard. I haven't seen that since Robert Redford did it in when he was Roy Hobbs.
The natural. Well, he was the light tower. Nothing exploded up there. It hit something solid. Every other thing power-wise has gone out tonight, but nothing there.
Manny to the right side. Soriano ranging far to his left. Throws him out. Out number 2. That's because Barry Levinson has better special effects man than they have here at Fenway Park.
Wasn't it the home run derby where McGuire was hitting them up into that light tower? That's big man's territory. Little guys don't reach that part of these ballparks.
And this is not a little guy right here. David Ortiz. He has walked tonight and has popped up to second. Ortiz, yesterday's hero, the former Minnesota Twin. I was talking to him before the game, and he started telling me about what he's learned about Fenway Park, which is he now tries to hit the ball with authority to left field. He said at the Metrodome, that was a graveyard for left-handed hitters. He wanted to pull the ball there. Mondesi in, he's got it. And that's the inning. And I told him about Ted Williams and Fred Lynn and Carl Yastrzemski. He says, really, I didn't know that. Yankees coming up. Come the Yankees into the 7th inning. The Yankees lead 3-0 against Derek Lowe and the Red Sox. Derek Jeter, the hitter, hits it hard. And there's Damon. He can't come up with this one. He made a great catch similar to that here yesterday, but not quite on this one. And Jeter has his 2nd hit of the night.
Imagine that. He's had more hits than anybody in the major leagues the last 5 years. Derek Jeter in his first 4 years. Only Ty Cobb, Pete Rose, and Stan Musial had more of these, and this ball almost went for a lot of extra bases. You see the great effort on the part of Damon. He almost got there, tried to get his wrist out of the way so he didn't fall on top of it. He's wondering what happened with his glove there. Well, you should have come up with that ball.
Well, now Grady Little is coming out to the mound with Jason Giambi up. And he's going to go to the bullpen. So the Red Sox bringing in the left-hander Fossum to face Giambi. We'll be back. Casey Fossum on to face Giambi, who hits the first pitch into center. Damon can't get this one either. Went into a slide to trap it. Jeter to second and holding is Giambi. It's a breaking ball on the first pitch and dunks it into shallow center. Hit number 10 for the Yankees, and now Bernie Williams, the switch hitter, will come up against Fossum.
Well, you know, the numbers this year dictated Grady Little come out and bring in a left-handed reliever. Giambi this year just 168 against left-handed pitching. But over his career, he's a 290 type hitter against left-handers. Fossum has had trouble with Giambi in the past. That trend continues.
So here's Bernie. He is 1 for 3 in the game. Has grounded out, had an infield single, and hit into a double play. Fossum began the year in the rotation for the Red Sox. Then he missed about a month with shoulder tendonitis. And since coming back, they've used him as a reliever. Bernie fouling one off to the right. And the count is 0-1. You see his numbers overall for the year, which include a save this past Monday against the Tigers. He went the last 4 innings of a ball game, which Boston won 14-5. And he was struggling. And I don't know how long he pitched where that shoulder was bothering him, but finally they shut him down, put him on the DL. He was 4-4 with a 5.76 ERA as a starter. Right out there to Trot Nixon. Jeter's tagging up, heading for third. Nixon's throw goes through. Giambi holding at first, and Jeter almost overslid the bag. Miller held the tag on him.
Well, he's one of the best base runners in the game of baseball. Has been for a long, long time. He tests the arm of Trot Nixon. Take a look at Bernie going the other way, trying to stay out of the double play. Hits it just far enough to get his buddy to third base. Watch Nomar. Take a look at Nomar trying to decoy Jason Giambi at first base. He came in like he was going to cut that throw off, and reason being to keep the double play in order here.
Now Matsui, he knocked in a run with a 2-out single in the third. And the curveball from Fossum misses. Matsui is 2 for 3. He got an infield hit in the 6th inning. It started a rally and scored a run. So he's 2 for 3 in the game. He had been hitless in the series until tonight. Matsui hitting .297 for the year. That curveball catches the outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Matsui has now driven in 71 runs. He only has 10 home runs. So hitting in the clutch when he's got the chance to drive in a run, that has been his sort of his specialty. And Joe Torre said earlier this year that he believes Matsui is the reason that the Yankees are better this year than they were last year, because he is such an outstanding situational type hitter. And that's a ball.
I think that's what George Steinbrenner, to me, the MVP of the Yankees every year, is all about. They talk about teams getting complacent, and he helps Joe Torre keep that from happening by adding that one special guy every year, whether it's Musina, whether it's Giambi. This year, it's Matsui.
Foul tip. Fossum got the fastball by him. 2 balls, 2 strikes. So you'd like to have played for George Steinbrenner?
Well, not back then. They weren't very good then. They had a great first baseman in Don Mattingly. That was about it. They've been good for a long time, though, and it wasn't just a coincidence that they got good when Joe Torre took over.
2-2 the count. And he struck him out. The curveball in the dirt. And not this time for Matsui. He is unable to get Jeter home from third.
Everybody we talk to, including their young general manager, Theo Epstein, talks about Fossum and his potential. They're going to get him back into the rotation, if not this year, then at least by the start of next year. He was asked for in trades for Bartolo Colon. They said, no, we're not giving up this young guy. You look at him, you don't look for a lot of velocity, but when he's healthy, 95 with that big sweeping breaking ball and a tremendous future if he can get that shoulder back where it was.
Jorge Posada has had 2 walks and a single tonight. Runners at first and third, 2 down. And the curveball in there for a strike. And Giambi hit that first curveball for a single to center. Posada with Jeter at third and Giambi at first. Millar on the bag with him. But Fossum has suddenly started getting Yankee hitters to go after that curve without success. That fastball missed very high. 1 ball, 1 strike. Yeah, that was the story, that Bartolo Colon eventually ended up going to the White Sox. But the Red Sox could have had him if only they had been willing to include Casey Fossum in the deal. One ball, 1 strike to count. Ooh, slider. 1 and 2.
Exactly right. That one 84 miles an hour. The previous breaking ball 76 miles an hour. A little get over curve. He can tighten it up, and he can definitely speed it up with that fastball if he wants to.
Yanks already leading 3-0. We're in the 7th inning. They have a chance to lengthen that lead. Jeter at third, Giambi at first. Curveball to Bill Miller. Here's the throw to first, and the inning is over, and Fossum got it done. 2 down, nobody on, or 2 on, nobody out. He got Williams, Matsui, and Posada.
Sunday Night Baseball, presented by Nextel. Nextel, life's better when your cell phone has a walkie-talkie. And in part by Advil. Doctors nationwide recommend Advil for strong, long-lasting pain relief.
Sunday Night Baseball from Boston. The Yankees are leading the Red Sox 3-0 here in the rubber match of their 3-game series. I'm John Miller with Rick Sutcliffe. And Rick will be hiking up the road to Montreal for tomorrow night's ball game. Seen right here on ESPN, Gary Sheffield and the slugging Atlanta Braves taking on Vladimir Guerrero. He's back. Jose Vidro and the Montreal Expos, 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific, tomorrow night from Olympic Stadium in Montreal. Frank Robinson, one of the all-time greats on this Hall of Fame weekend. Robinson, who went from the National League to to the American League, and in his first year in a new league, facing pitchers that he didn't know, won the Triple Crown. Now that's greatness. Hit 49 homers, had the best batting average, the most RBIs. And nowadays, stuff like that doesn't really happen that often.
You know, to me, he's a living legend, that being Frank Robinson. He won the Rookie of the Year. He won an MVP in both leagues. The Triple Crown, as you said. He was the MVP of an All-Star game. He was the MVP of a World Series. And he had the opportunity. He was granted permission to go to the Hall of Fame ceremonies and be part of, as you say, his immortal. He said, no, I'm going to stay with my team. And with all of the travel problems they've had, all of the things that team has had to go through, it's remarkable how hard Frank Robinson has kept them playing.
So Rick will be checking in with Frank Robinson and the Expos tomorrow night right here on ESPN. Kevin Millar to lead off now for the Red Sox, who have only 2 hits. The Red Sox with a team batting average of .295 coming into this game, averaging 6.2 runs a game. And tonight they've had 2 hits in 20 at-bats against Jeff Weaver.
Well, and none of those hits nor any of the base on balls have come with the leadoff hitter of an inning. That's been the key for Weaver. He's gotten the first guy out, and then from that point on, it's been easier for him.
They've only put 2 men on base since the first inning. Millar, and he spins a curveball in there for a called strike. Millar came up with the bases loaded, but 2 down. They didn't get the thing going until 2 men were out in the first inning. Weaver hit Garcia-Parra, then walked Ramirez and Ortiz to load the bases, but he got Millar on a fly ball to shallow left center to end the threat. And he spins that one in there for a called strike.
And that's exactly what got him that out in the first inning. That was the key to the ball game. He couldn't find the release point to his breaking ball with anybody until Millar come up. He threw it for a strike to begin with. He has had it from that point on.
The Yankee bullpen is busy, by the way. Came into the hands that time, and it's yanked foul into the seats. Still 0-2 to Millar. Trot Nixon on deck. Bill Miller due up third in the inning. In the Yankee bullpen, the left-hander, Chris Hammond, has started to warm up. And he struck him out. He dropped down from the side with that curveball. And Millar is now 0 for 3.
Well, this is the one thing that even the players, along with the pitching coach Mel Stottlemyre, say that Jeff Weaver had done a little bit too much. He would drop down in that angle a lot of times in the first pitch of an at-bat. He would give him that look to begin with. Most hitters for the first strike would just say, hey, I'll take it. You can have the first one. Now he's pitching. He's using all of his pitches, both sides of the plate, and then creating those difficult angles.
Here's Trot Nixon. He is flied out to shallow center and struck out. And that curveball, he hits it foul off his foot. Well, it's interesting how this series has played out. I mean, Friday night, you had a couple of old pros, David Wells and Pedro Martinez. Certainly the Red Sox always feel confident whenever Pedro is pitching, but the Yankees eventually won the game when it got to the bullpens. There's Hammond, by the way, up in the Yankee bullpen right now. Yesterday, you wouldn't have given much for the Red Sox chances at all. That's strike 2 to Nixon. John Burkett had never beaten the Yankees, and his lifetime ERA was almost 10. It's like he'd never even pitched a decent game against the Yankees, who were going with Mike Messina. The Red Sox didn't have anybody to ever even touch Messina. And yet, the Red Sox won yesterday. Burkett pitched well.
Well, he threw up 5 and 2 scoreless, 2/3 scoreless innings in that ball game. But guess what happened? They came back. It became a battle of the bullpen. This game is far from over right now. Joe Torre knows that. That's why there's already activity up in his bullpen.
Weaver has thrown 107 pitches in this game. By the way, David Wells in that game on Friday left with his back hurting. And he's not exactly sure if he's going to be able to make his next start. Wells has had a very strong year for the Yankees, 12-3. Big curveball, low and inside to Trot Nixon. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Nixon has flied out to shallow center and struck out. Of course, Nixon's having about the same night that all the other Red Sox are having against Weaver. And Weaver has been impressive. A 2-hitter going here at Fenway Park. A check swing and a foul. Well, Nixon was just hoping that something good would happen on that one.
He knew he couldn't do much with it, but he has done a lot of that this year. Last year he hit 256. This year well over 300 because of things like that. He tries to make contact, foul off those difficult pitches in hopes of getting another one and a mistake. Right now they just like to get Jeff Weaver out of this ballgame.
He's getting close to being out at 110 pitches for the night. Trot Nixon backs away for a moment. Nixon was at 346 in the month of July. Now a full count, 3-2. And there have been a lot of full counts tonight. A lot of deep counts, considering how well Weaver's done in the final analysis. He's thrown a lot of pitches to get there.
Yeah, but he's throwing better right now than he has thrown at any point in this ballgame. That last fastball was 94 miles an hour.
Just missing inside with a 93-mile-an-hour heater. And that is the first walk that Weaver has given up since the first inning.
Take a look at it. Awful, awful close. You can see that Posada's wanting to get the call. Kevin Kelly not giving him that play. You can see he made the correct call. He looks in that direction as if to tell everybody in both dugouts that's where the ball was. It wasn't low, wasn't high. It was off the inside corner.
Joe Torre checking the lineup card. Here is Bill Miller. He blasted one, but out in the Death Valley. A home run probably anywhere else but here. Look out, that hit him. A breaking ball that got Miller right around that right shin or maybe the right calf, and he's hurting. Omar Garcia-Parra got hit in the very first inning, and then when retaliation was made by Lowe against Matsui in the second, a warning was issued to Lowe and both dugouts.
This is the last thing in the world Joe Torre wanted to happen. Varitek has good numbers against Weaver. Hammond, the reliever, Varitek is 1 for 1 off of. But the problem is Varitek, being a switch hitter, is hitting much better from the right side. That's where he's going to hit in this at-bat.
Jim Rowe, the trainer, out there with Miller to see if he can stay in the game. Jeff Weaver is definitely out of the game. We'll be right back with a threat, trailing 3-0, and Jason Varitek, powerful switch hitter, will switch around and back from what has been his stronger side, at least for batting average this year. He's hitting .349 as a righty, and Hammond gets it in there for a called strike. See Hammond's numbers. He had a remarkable season with Atlanta last year, and then the Yankees looking for somebody to replace Mike Stanton. Went out and picked him up.
Another remarkable year. Those numbers outstanding.
First game he's pitched in a week. Curveball too low.
I know you saw the first pitch at 80 miles an hour. You might have thought after everything we've seen that was a changeup. That's the fastball.
So that
65-mile-an-hour changeup at times from Chris Hammond.
So the 80, that's when he's humping up, and
and that's you know, if the wind wasn't blowing out, it might be 82.
That one is hit deep. This one is way back there. It's caught out over everything onto Lansdowne Street. Varitek has changed everything with one swing of his bat. Varitek with his 18th home run of the year, and only the second home run allowed this year by Hammond. Hammond had given up one homer in 41 2/3 innings, and they are still on their feet at Fenway Park. And that one was smoked. Over the wall, over the new seats above the wall, and out into the streets of Boston. Varitek with a quick wave acknowledging the ovation of the crowd. Now Mel Stottlemyre is going to come out.
Well, he only had time for a quick wave because he's got to get back in the dugout and get the gear on to go out and catch the top of the 8th inning. That's what's so remarkable about what Varitek and Posada have done this year. You take a look at the home runs. You mentioned 18 now for Varitek, 19 for Posada, 65 RBIs now for Jason Varitek. And these numbers are coming from guys that missed 20% of the ball game because of the demands of the position that they play. They're catchers. They can't play every single day. If they could, if they were first baseman, their numbers would even be better.
So Jeff Weaver left the game with a 2-hit shutout. Now has had 2 runs charged to his record and can't even qualify for a win. And the fans here in Boston are still extremely excited.
Well, it's a team that's been built on big innings all year long. They don't usually put up 1 here, 1 there. They come in 3s, 4s, and 5s for Boston.
Damon the hitter, and that's a strike. 2-1 the count. So Hammond, who, after giving up the tape measure home run to Varitek, quickly fell behind Damon. Now it is 2-1. A check swing and a foul. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Todd Walker on deck. This rally started with a walk to Nixon, and then Bill Miller got hit by a pitch. Way outside. 3-2 the count.
You know, I think about Derek Lowe, too, right now. He didn't have his best stuff. He struggled throughout. He had men on at all times, but he held on. His defense held in there with him, and because of it, an opportunity to make a late comeback.
And Damon fights it off. Back into the seats. Off to the left, 3-2. Well, Joe Torre, I mean, a couple of things that I'm sure persuaded him to get Weaver out of there. I mean, his pitch count was getting high. He obviously had just walked a man and hit a man. That ball is hit down toward Pesky's pole. It is a home run. Johnny Damon follows Varitek's home run with one of his own. And just like that, the Red Sox have gone ahead. And Hammond, who had given up just 1 homer in 42 other games this year, has been lit up twice by the only 2 hitters he's faced.
Well, they talk about what Johnny Damon has brought to this team, and that's been some high energy. And I don't know. I know there's been a lot of great games and a lot of great things that have gone on in this ballpark, but that energy is way, way up there now.
Armando Benitez will come in from the bullpen. Torre looking for somebody who can get somebody out. The big hitters are yet to come for the Red Sox, who suddenly lead it 4-3. Armando Benitez pitching for the 3rd time in 3 days here at Fenway Park. He worked here on Friday ahead of Mariano Rivera. Yesterday came in and actually got tagged with the loss in the 9th inning. And now here he is again in the 7th inning tonight. Todd Walker, the hitter. Hits it sharply but foul. Now, it'll be interesting to see what kind of stuff Benitez brings with him to the mound tonight, because, I mean, he threw a lot of high-stress kind of pitches the last 2 days. Every hitter important, every pitch important, and he threw a lot of pitches the last 2 days.
Both 1-run ball games, and with Benitez, you know that there's going to be a lot of arm speed involved. He's not a change-up sinker type guy. It's all about power, and he needs that little extra to be good.
A bloop, right center. That's falling. Base hit. The 2nd hit of the night for Todd Walker. The Red Sox leading 4-3 on consecutive homers here in the 7th from Varitek and then Damon.
He's been off to a slow start, that being Johnny Damon, just 267 for an average, only 8 home runs. Last year he hit 14 home runs. You don't normally get a combination like that from your leadoff man, but Boston has it, the Yankees have it, and because of Johnny Damon, Boston has the lead tonight.
It is 302 feet to that foul pole. And almost any other ballpark, that ball probably would have hooked foul before it got to the foul pole. Now Nomar Garciaparra. Damian Jackson has gone to first base as a runner for Todd Walker. And this is a different kind of a Red Sox club. They have all the sluggers. They have all the power. But they also have some guys who can run. And Jackson is one of them.
He ain't going to be there long. I promise you that.
Jackson, who's been used primarily as a pinch runner, has 13 steals. And he was heading the wrong way that time and just did get back.
This is just part of that depth that we talked about. Not only to the lineup, when you get that kind of production from the bottom of your order with Bill Miller and Jason Varitek, but they have winning pieces of the puzzle on their bench for Grady Little, their manager, to go to. There's one of them, and Damian Jackson.
They pitch out. Almost as if Jackson and the Red Sox saw that one coming.
And it's almost as if you could have stolen it anyway. You take a look at the high leg kick of Benitez. That's all of the time Damian Jackson needs to get down there. Orozco looking for time now to get ready again.
We've got Garciaparra at the plate. Ramirez behind him. Then the lefty Ortiz. There goes Jackson. A strike. The throw. He's out. No, the ball was dropped. He was called out by DeMuth, who then saw the ball roll free out of the glove of Soriano. And so Jackson is in there.
That's what I've always loved about Damian Jackson, is he doesn't wait for pitch counts to run on. He just takes off. And more times than not, he's going to beat the throw. But he didn't beat the throw this time. Posada got a good fastball to handle. Garciaparra was taken all the way. Because of that arm strength we mentioned earlier, look at Posada. He gets everything he's got on it. It's a short hop. It's an in-between hop. It hits the glove and the face of Jackson at the same time.
Now base hit to mean a run. Benitez hung that. I don't know if it was a slider or a splitter. It hung whatever it was.
Well, and his arm has to be hanging a little bit. As you mentioned, he's thrown in the last two ball games. The electricity, just like it is right now. Orozco, the guy that's up and throwing, has also thrown in the last two games. Joe Torre with just not a lot of confidence in anybody else down there.
Nomar now with a count of 2 balls, 2 strikes. He has been hit by a pitch tonight on his right hand, on the top of his right hand. He's also grounded out to third and flied out to right. 4 runs are in for the Red Sox in the 7th. They were shut out. They'd had only 2 hits for the night until this inning. Varitek and Damon going yard in succession. Ramirez on deck. Soriano at second, trying to keep Jackson close, and then Benitez looks back. By the way, that play at second base, there was a very controversial play yesterday when Jeremy Giambi stole second in the 9th inning. The Yankees really felt they'd gotten him, that he was out, and it was a bad call. And then moments later, he scored the winning run. Ventura looks Jackson back and throws out Garciaparra. 2 down. Here comes Manny Ramirez. And here comes Joe Torre. Now you've got first base open. You've got the great RBI man, one of the best RBI men of his era, coming up. So the only, I'm guessing he's going to bring in Orozco to walk Ramirez and pitch to Ortiz. Or maybe a pinch hitter for Ortiz. We'll be back. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, presented by Nextel. We're at Fenway Park. The Red Sox 4, the Yankees 3. Jesse Orozco comes in to walk Manny Ramirez intentionally with first base open, and the left-handed batting David Ortiz due up next. Ortiz, who has never faced Jesse Orozco in his career.
And may not. They may go to a pinch hitter here.
They have Gabe Kapler, a right-handed hitter. And then they've got Doug Mirabelli, the second catcher, whom they would not use.
See, a lot of times pitchers don't like to come in and throw 4 pitches to intentionally walk a guy, but you have to if you're Joe Torre, because by doing that now, if they want to pinch hit, Joe Torre can also bring in another pitcher. If they go to Kapler, Joe Torre could have gone to Osuna, who's up and throwing in the bullpen. If you have the previous pitcher, if you let Benitez intentionally walk Manny Ramirez, and then you bring in Orozco, now they've got you where they want you instead of where you want them now.
Well, you've explained it. Well, I mean, that was a good explanation. Here's Ortiz. He's hitting .230 against left-handed pitching, .305 against the right-handers, and of course Orozco, who is 46 years old and has pitched in more big league games than any pitcher in history. In fact, he was on the mound when the final out of the 1986 World Series was recorded against the Red Sox. He was with the Mets. That one down the right field line. Hooking, and that one's going to roll around. Mondesi's got to go chase it. 1 run in. Ramirez is in, and Ortiz steams into third, standing out. 6-3 Boston. A triple for the big guy. His first.
A lot of guys his size don't hit many triples because they don't want to. They don't want to have to run that far and that hard. But Ortiz will gladly take it. He appreciates the opportunity to stay in the game and hit against the left-handed pitcher. And it's also, again, another reliever for Joe Torre that has pitched in all 3 ball games in this series. It has come down to a lack of confidence. It started with the lack of confidence in Weaver. Why wouldn't you? I mean, he's under 500 on one of the best teams in baseball. And then you've got Hitchcock down there. You've got Osuna down there that you don't normally use in winning ball games. He's going to have to at some point tonight.
6 runs are in. And the Yankee bullpen, which took a loss here yesterday, has not been able to get anything done here tonight. The bullpen inherited a 3-0 lead and 2 base runners with 1 out in this inning. The bullpen has gotten 1 more man out, but in the meanwhile 6 runs have scored and counting. The Red Sox are not out yet.
Well, they really don't have a true left-handed specialist to come in out of that pen and get a left-handed hitter out. Hammond's best pitch is a changeup. Hitchcock's best pitch is a splitter. Again, another changeup. And with Jesse Orozco, you just never know how much more he has left in the tank. He struggled in the early part of this year with the Padres. He had pitched well the last 2 nights. He's getting hit around tonight.
Trot Nixon, and he takes a strike. Fastball on the outside. This rally started with 1 out. Kevin Millar, having just been walked intentionally, led off the inning by striking out. Then Nixon came up and he walked, and that was the beginning of this huge inning. A bloop. Soriano sprinting out. So is Jeter. It is Jeter who gets to it. 11 men come to plate for Boston. 6 of them score. Now to the 8th inning. Nick Johnson coming up. The Yankees are trailing 6-3. The 8th inning at Fenway Park, and suddenly the Red Sox, in a stunning turnaround, own a 6-3 lead over the Yankees here in the rubber match of this series. Now the next poll question: which team in the majors has the best offense? And nearly 37% who voted, and look at that, nearly 108,000 votes cast at ESPN.com, and 37% say the Red Sox, 24% went with Atlanta, 20% with the St. Louis Cardinals, 11% with the Yankees, and then the Blue Jays. I mean, all 5 of those clubs have great offensive ball clubs, but most of the people who voted thought the Red Sox were the best. And I don't know that Chris Hammond, Armando Benitez, or Jesse Orozco would argue at this point.
Well, a couple of people that had a lot to do with that we just saw, Johnny Damon and Jason Varitek. I mean, this team, there's so many ways offensively that Boston can come at you.
Scott Sauerbeck, the new pitcher for the Red Sox, number 48, the former Pittsburgh Pirate, and just acquired by the Red Sox and thrust into his first Yankees-Red Sox war almost immediately. And Sauerbeck, I mean, his years with the Pirates, they were never even in a pennant race. He's in a pennant race, and he's in something else that's been going on for centuries. Damian Jackson stays in to play second base. Sauerbeck, the prize left-hander, been one of the top left-handers in the National League for a while. And the story is that the Yankees were also trying very hard to get him.
Why wouldn't everybody want him? He has flat dominated left-handed hitting the last couple of years, doing it again this year.
But he enters the game with a 3-run lead to face the left-handed hitting Nick Johnson, and he walks him. There's Mike Timlin up in the Boston bullpen. So we've seen the Yankee bullpen struggles firsthand, but the Red Sox have struggled in their bullpen most of the year.
Well, I think it has to be Timlin now, because all of the right-handers are in order. Zeal is going to hit. You got a right-hander in Mondesi, back to the top of the order with 2 more right-handers. So if you're Grady Little, you do what he's doing right now.
So Torrey sort of forced his hand by putting Zeal in as the pinch hitter for Ventura. And Timlin, the right-hander, will come up. Don't go away. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball presented by Nextel. Red Sox 6, the Yankees 3, top of the 8th inning. But the Yankees, who came from a 4-0 deficit yesterday afternoon here to tie the ball game before the Red Sox finally won it anyway in the last of the night. And now the Red Sox bullpen is being asked to do better.
Well, how did the Red Sox score those 6 runs in the bottom of the 7th inning? It started with the bullpen coming in. It also started with a walk to the guy who was hitting 7th in their order. That was Trot Nixon. We mentioned that was their strategy at the beginning of this year. You have to have people on base. You're not going to win many games with just solo home runs. Well, once again, Boston's bullpen returning the favor, walking the guy hitting 7th in the Yankee order.
So Zeal had come up as a pinch hitter for Ventura. Now Kareem Garcia is in turn the pinch hitter for Zeal. So Torrey got the matchup that he had hoped for. Timlin has been tough on right-handed hitters. Right-handed hitters hitting only .207 against Timlin. Garcia was one of the pinch hitters who got a base hit yesterday for the Yankees. 1 ball and no strikes. There's Nick Johnson, the runner at first. Kevin Millar, the first baseman, on the bag with him. Kareem Garcia hitting .248, but he's hitting .364 with the Yankees. And a strike on the outside. Mike Timlin, 13 years in the big league. He's been around a long time.
I'm almost afraid to say it. He's not going to walk anybody. He's only walked 5 guys all year. 2 of those have been intentional. But then again, on the other hand, Chris Hammond doesn't give up home runs this year until tonight.
That was a shot. Back out of play by Garcia. Kareem Garcia at the game yesterday had a different final outcome. Garcia would have been one of the heroes. He got the base hit against Young-Hyun Kim to tie the ball game. Yankees pinch hitters with 3 for 3 yesterday. Just missed off the outside with that fastball. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Two and 2 the count. Strike 3 call.
Not what you're looking for out of a pinch hitter. Obviously what Kareem Garcia wasn't looking for out of Mike Timlin. He was basically sitting down the middle looking for a fastball in the strike zone. He reaches back across the plate, but clearly on the inner half of the plate, clearly not what Garcia wanted to see.
Well, you might think, gee, Kareem, pretty good pinch hitter, got the game-tying hit as a pinch hitter in the 8th inning yesterday. Well, that was his first pinch hit at bat all year yesterday. Now another pinch hitter, Ruben Sierra, the veteran. Sierra hitting .283. Timlin's got it. Over to second. Garcia-Parra gets the one. Couldn't get it out of his glove. Johnson forced out at second. Sierra safe at first after hitting for Mondesi.
I just wonder if what happened earlier in the ballgame didn't have something to do with Nomar's right hand not being able to pull the baseball out. It was a perfect throw. Hit him right in the chest. And you look at the exchange there, and we remember what happened in the bottom of the first. Nomar got drilled by a fastball from Jeff Weaver in that throwing hand. Even if it's broke, he's not going to come out of a game as important as this is to the Red Sox.
2 down. And now Soriano, the leadoff man for the Yankees, is hitless tonight. In fact, has not been able to get the ball out of the infield. Soriano with 24 home runs this year. The timeout is taken at the plate. Soriano is lined out to second, struck out, grounded into a double play, and grounded out to third. Here's that play in the first you're talking about, Rick.
Take a look at his right hand. The trainers have checked with him every inning as he's come into the dugout to see how he's doing.
Well, they've had Soriano chasing pitches out of the strike zone most of the night.
Well, and they've been chasing the Yankees for the last 5 years, as we mentioned. And that's why, to me, this is a must-win for the Red Sox. Not so for the Yankees. This has been an easy month, the month of July, schedule-wise. August gets real tough for Boston, with a lot of games against Oakland, Anaheim, and Seattle.
2 strikes now to Soriano. If he could get aboard, Jeter would come up next as the possible tying run. Varitek out to the mound to hand deliver the new ball to Timlin. Meanwhile, the Boston bullpen is busy again. There's Jeter hoping to bat in the inning. Number 43, that's Alan Embry.
He's getting ready for one guy, and that's Jason Giambi.
Jeter on deck, Giambi in the hole.
I think what's happening here is the catcher's trying to talk Timlin out of something that he wants to throw. You got 2 outs, you got an 0-2 count. Normally you go with whatever the pitcher wants to put down, but there was a lengthy conversation there about this 0-2 pitch.
Giambi from the dugout, 0-2 the count, and down and away.
He wanted something set up there. He actually wanted that fastball up and away to set up this, what I'm guessing to be another breaking ball. I mean, as exciting as those 6 runs were in the bottom of the 7th for Boston, let's not forget, Jeter in the on-deck circle could represent the tying run.
Time taken. Soriano backs away for a moment. Too high. 2-2 the count. Grady Little.
Chewing that gum pretty good, isn't he?
Grady has not often been in the late innings of a game this year where he felt comfortable, whatever the lead has been.
A little more comfortable now with Young Kim, but it's still a little uneasy sitting.
Struck him out. And he stayed with the hard stuff all the way. 6-3 Red Sox. To the last of the 8th we go. Bill Miller, then Varitek coming up. Red Sox 6, Yankees 3 as we go to the last half of the 8th inning. Stay tuned now. Sports Center coming up next. Did Pedro Martinez get special treatment here on Friday night as Joe Torre felt when he was not ejected from the game? The NFL's most dominant, that'll be a story they'll look into. And that's all coming up on Sports Center right after the game. Stay tuned.
Well, Pedro did do some things that a lot of mortals couldn't have gotten away with, being it's a night of immortals with all of the Hall of Fame ceremonies going on. But I give Dana DeMuth, the home plate umpire, a lot of credit for not throwing Pedro out. And the reason I say that is because it was a borderline pitch. Dana DeMuth might have thought that he missed the pitch. And why would you throw the pitcher out when the argument might have been started because of a mistake on your part?
It's Sierra out in right field, and there's Enrique Wilson has come on to play third base. Wilson will hit in the 8th spot in the order. And here is Bill Miller against Antonio Osuna in from the Yankee bullpen. Hard thrower, a veteran. Osuna with a 2.73 ERA. He spent time on the disabled list and is not yet convinced Joe Torre that he's ready for those important hitters late in games when they're trying to hold the lead. 1 ball, 1 strike. The question is, the Yankees don't seem to have many of those pitchers around at the moment. Tonight they needed somebody to get them from Jeff Weaver to Mariano Rivera. They needed 2 outs in that 7th inning with a 3-0 lead, the bullpen did. And Boston ended up with 6 on the board before those 2 outs were recorded.
I really think it would have been Osuna coming in the 7th inning instead of Armando Benitez. If Joe Torre would have known they were going to score those first 4 runs so quick. I mean, Varitek hit the 3-run homer, and then just a couple of pitches later, Johnny Damon hit another home run off Chris Hammond. He had Benitez up, thinking that it would be a tie game, bring Benitez in to face Nomar Garciaparra if needed. But the next thing you knew, they were behind, and then they were even further behind.
Bill Miller, who was hit by a pitch in that 7th inning. That was the end of Jeff Weaver. With 1 out in the 7th and a 3-0 lead. Weaver had a 2-hit shutout going, walked Nixon, and then he hit Miller. And with his pitch count mounting, Torre went and got him. Struck him out with the off-speed pitch. There's 1 away.
We had done nothing but talk about Boston's offense all night long. Well, it didn't show up for the first 6 innings, but come the 7th inning, they were able to put a 6-run spot up. Varitek with the homer from the right side, Johnny Damon from the left side, hugging that pole. Varitek has been hot all year long. The one guy they needed to get going was Johnny Damon. He is now.
Now Varitek as a left-handed hitter. Ooh. Changed up on him. It's 0-1. Varitek had one of the 2 hits the Red Sox had gotten against Weaver. As he hit a fly ball off the left field wall down the line in the 5th inning. But he has hit better as a right-handed hitter this year. And when Torre went to get Weaver, he brought in Hammond, the lefty. And Varitek moved to the right side. He's averaged 1 homer now every 12 at-bats as a right-handed hitter and is hitting over 350 right-handed. But he also is hitting about 500 lifetime against Weaver with a double tonight against him.
You got to give Jason Varitek so much credit. He is part of the rotation first, part of the lineup second. He spent so much time watching video, studying charts as to what his pitchers can do to get the opposing hitters out. Then, on the other hand, he's got to work on his offense, not only from the left side, where he hits most of the time, but he's got to do it on the right side as well. So it's a full day's work put in by the Red Sox catcher.
Two and two the count to Varitek. 1 out, nobody on. Here in the 9th inning, Johnny Damon on deck. 6-3, the Red Sox lead. There's Damon. Now the Yankees will have their best hitters up, or many of them, in the 9th inning. Jeter, Giambi, Bernie Williams, Matsui due 4th, Posada due 5th, Johnson 6th. As Byung-Hyun Kim gets ready in the Red Sox bullpen. Giambi will be coming up second. 2-2. Fastball up and away. 3-2.
They just don't give away outs, do they? This is a different Boston Red Sox approach. They hit well last year. Only the Anaheim Angels had a higher average in the American League than Boston. Nobody's higher than them this year. But it's the walks that they're throwing in there along with the hits.
And not this time for Varitek. Osuna strikes him out. 2 men down.
Talking about Varitek wanting to be part of the staff first. Remember the problems they had calling the 0-2 pitch on Soriano? They argued. Timlin, Varitek, what to do, what to do. You can see there he's putting down 2 fingers. Now he's wanting the fastball away. He kept getting shaken off. He kept shaking off. Finally, Varitek got what he wanted, and take a look. That's what happened. Finished him off with a good sinking fastball away.
And there's ball 1 to Johnny Damon. Well, that was interesting because that was another pitch. Actually, the second pitch after they'd been out at the mound having that big long talk. And they still weren't together on it.
And I thought the key to it was the fact that, you know, he put down the 2 fingers to begin with. A lot of times that's just shake me off. And what that does, it puts in a hitter's mind. When you see a guy shaking you off, a lot of times the hitter will go, all right, he put down a fastball first. He's going to something else. And that might have been Varitek once again trying to work on a young hitter's mind.
1-2 now to Damon. So, in other words, that may well have been by design. Well, that's some inside baseball. You're impressing me now.
Well, this guy's pretty impressive.
That's a fair ball for Matsui in the limited confines of that left field corner. Chases it down, and Damon, who homered in the 7th inning to put the Sox ahead, has a double here.
I really think Johnny Damon is what could make this Boston Red Sox team special. You're not going to hit home runs every night, although it seems like they do. Joe Torre's thinking they do. Grady Little hopes that they do. But his speed is what sets him apart. When you have speed, you don't go into slumps. You find ways to get on. You can bunt, you can walk, an error. All of a sudden, you can turn what 90 feet was to begin with into a triple, a double, get into scoring position, make things happen. More speed at home plate right now.
Here's Damian Jackson, who entered the game as a pinch runner after Walker got a single in the 7th inning. Now, Jackson eventually got himself to second, but an error was charged to Alfonso Soriano on a throw that bounced into Alfonso, hit his glove about the same moment as Jackson hit him, and rolled out of his glove. That's a pop-up foul, and that will be out of play. So tough error on Soriano.
Really tough error. Most of the errors on Soriano are tough errors. He's got so much range. He's got 12 on the year now. We look at Young Kim getting ready to close, and believe me, he would take even more insurance when he looks at what's waiting on him in the top of the 9th.
Kim has also worked in the first 2 games of this series. Took a loss here Friday, and then came in the 8th inning yesterday with a 1-run lead and gave up a hit that brought the tying run home, got charged with a blown save, and then it ended up getting the win in the ball game. He's had 2 losses and a blown save against the Yankees this year, plus he ended up getting the win yesterday, which I suppose is probably the bottom line, right? You got the blown save, but you got the team won the game, so
everybody's happy.
Yeah.
I remember Young Kim talking about that World Series that he won, was part of, as the Arizona Diamondbacks. He says he gained confidence because finally Mariano Rivera blew a save. And he says, hey, if it can happen to the best closer of all time in the postseason, well, then I can understand why it would happen to me.
Back out of play again. 2-2 the count. Well, you know, all blown saves are not equal. I mean, in that World Series, he had a 2-run lead with 2 outs in the 9th inning and blew the save. Now, that's a blown save. Yesterday, he inherited somebody else's problem, and he didn't create the problem. And it's the 8th inning, and he gave up the hit, and that run scored. That's a lot of guys would get blown saves if they had to keep facing situations like that. You know, and too, John, you're exactly right. A lot of guys can pitch in these situations. You're down by 3 runs. It's easy to come in. You say, well, what's wrong with Osuna? Why wouldn't he use him more often? Well, is the crowd on their feet? Is anybody yelling? No, not really.
They've got a 3-run lead. They're already thinking about the top of the ninth. So the intensity, the pressure is not there in these spots.
The manager and the pitching coach have to identify which guys to bring in who can handle the electricity, handle the heat.
And there are a lot of really good numbers by Osuna this year, but the one number that jumps out that you don't like is the walks. And a lot of times in a tie game or a 1-run game, that's where Osuna has had problems this year. He'll walk a guy, and then with the high leg kick, you can run on him. You give up that little lead that you have.
The battle continues here with Damian Jackson and Osuna. Look out. High and tight. 3-2.
I always like the way you say that. Look out. Will you tape that for me so I can just replay that from time to time?
It's frightening. I mean, I'm sitting up here and it's frightening. 94 miles an hour. I'm hitting the deck myself.
I'm at home laying in my bed and I jump when you say that.
Gaiman at second. And Jeter goes up to get it. So Kim will have to make do with the 3-run advantage. Jeter, Giambi, and Bernie Williams coming up. Last chance for the Yankees. 6-3 Boston.
Trey Wingo here in our baseball studios with some rather sobering news. Authorities in Waco, Texas have confirmed the body they found over the weekend just south of Waco, Texas is that of missing Baylor basketball player Patrick Dennehy. The 6'10" Dennehy had not been seen since June 12th, and his former Baylor teammate and roommate Carlton Dotson has been charged with his murder. Again, Waco authorities have identified the body they found over the weekend as that of former Baylor basketball player Patrick Dennehy. SportsCenter will have complete coverage of the latest news coming out of Waco, Texas involving Patrick Dennehy and the charges of murder against his former teammate and roommate Carlton Dotson. For now, let's send you back to Fenway Park.
Looking for a happy ending, leading the Yankees 6-3 as we go to the 9th inning. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. The new MLB Authentic Collection Performance Batting Practice jerseys and caps are now in. Now anybody can get them by visiting MLB.com. Somebody already has his. Got a Nomar batting practice jersey. Here is Derek Jeter. And Byung-Hyun Kim throws him a called strike. Kim is not an overpowering guy, but he has a delivery that's much different than hitters usually face from a right-hander. And he is extremely tough on right-handed hitters. Always has been.
And that's where I think he's best suited to be. I think he would be one of the best right-handed setup men in the game. Left-handers have trouble against him. One of the easier guys in baseball to run on, Byung-Hyun Kim. It's difficult to hand a 1-run lead over to a guy with numbers like that.
1-2 now. I mean, that pitch kind of comes from down under, and we'll have that. He's got one fastball. Looks like it's rising. He's got another one that sinks.
Well, it's harder than really anybody I can remember that throws from that angle all of the time.
He also will throw a slider that rises, or appears to rise anyway. And that slider, the frisbee off the outside. 2-2. Jeter did pretty well to lay off that one.
I don't know how he does it. Again, I think, like we mentioned earlier, he's one of those guys who just, his eyes are better than the rest of us.
And that one inside. 3-2. And he needs to throw a strike here. I mean, the Yankees need base runners. Jeter would be very happy to take a walk. Kim acquired May 29th from Arizona for Shea Hillenbrand. Despite the fact he's been around for a long time, Kim is still he's only 24 years old. The Diamondbacks were using him as a starter, and when he came over here, he was a starter. And he threw him the slider. I don't get that one. 3-run lead. They need base runners. You got a 3-2 count. You throw him a slider.
I think the reason he did it, he didn't really have confidence he could throw either pitch, fastball or slider, for a strike. And if you throw a slider and it's got a lot of late movement, maybe the hitter might help you. But in spots like this, Derek Jeter does nothing but help the New York Yankees. He just always seems to find a way to get something positive done.
All right, so, I mean, you've explained what could have been in Kim's mind, but it didn't work. So now Giambi. Giambi's predecessor in New York at first base hit one of the most memorable home runs in World Series history.
Oh, yeah.
And that was in Game 4 of the World Series 2 years ago. Tino Martinez. He'd had the one advantage of facing Kim earlier in that game. Kim had been in the game for a while already. And he went in and looked at videotape of Kim, whom he had never seen before, and determined a strategy and what to look for, and he got it, and he drove. He did not miss it, that's for sure. Jeter running, and they don't even contest Jeter's going into second base.
And you know, I talked with Tino last week about what was more difficult, replacing Mark McGwire in St. Louis or replacing Don Mattingly in New York. And he said easily Mattingly, because he was so loved by the community. And he said also easy because of the fact that McGwire had all of the injuries and was towards the end of the line. He too was going to shut it down. But a lot of respect for Tino Martinez, as Jason Giambi has a lot of respect for Tino.
Giambi didn't like that call by Kevin Kelly. There's Bernie Williams on deck. If Giambi can get aboard here, Bernie would be the possible tying run. And Fenway is rather quiet right now, rather pensive.
It's a little scared.
1-2. And he ran that slider right in on the hands of Giambi, who fouled it. Now that's pensive. That's scared. There's one guy who's praying. One guy can hardly look. The I Love New York, she can hardly bear to look right now. She asked her boyfriend, can I look yet? One and two the count. He struck him out.
There's that fastball you were talking about, right down the middle, but from a different angle than you normally see, and with a lot more velocity than you expect from down under. This is 91 miles an hour. Take a look where it's at. I mean, if you walked up and set it on a tee, that's where Jason Giambi would want it. But he didn't recognize it right away. Didn't know if it was a breaking ball, fastball. By then, it was too late.
So a huge out there. Giambi, who had a homer and a single earlier tonight, 2 for 4. He also was hit by a pitch in this game. Now Bernie. A wild swing of the pitch up and away. Bernie 1 for 4 in the game. And Bernie has not really found his groove yet since coming back from the disabled list. Young Hyun Kim. Of course, Tino hit that one homer against him. Then a left-handed hit. The next night it was a right-handed hitter. Brocious did the same thing. Bernie up the middle in shallow center. Walker's throw. Probably should have just held on to it. Over to third base. I say Walker, that's Damian Jackson in there now. He came on as a runner for Walker in the 7th inning. Jeter to third. Bernie gets the infield hit. And now, as the South Korean right-hander Kim tries to save one for the Red Sox, here comes Godzilla from Japan to try and tie the game for New York. Wow.
Godzilla's been even scarier than advertised this year. All those RBIs and clutch hits as a Yankee.
This could be 2. Jackson falls down, can't get it out of his glove. Finally, just in time to get Bernie at second base with Nomar covering. Jeter scores to make it 6-4. Matsui is safe at first.
He got to it in plenty of time. He just couldn't stay on his feet. You take a look. He secures the baseball. He wanted to come out with it immediately and flip it to Nomar while in the air. But by the time he couldn't get the ball out of his glove, now he's in kind of a panic mode. You got to just make sure of one. But another thing we're sure of, that tie and run is still at home plate for the Yankees.
And Jorge Posada is the hitter. He has hit 19 home runs this year. Posada has hit 15 of them as a left-handed hitter. Averaging about 1 home every 15 at-bats, left-handed. 6-4. There goes Matsui as the ball is bounced foul by Posada. And Matsui will go back to first. Alan Embry back up in the bullpen. That run, the first run allowed by the Boston bullpen tonight, and we probably should have talked at greater length about the job Casey Fossum did when he came in the 7th inning. With 1 on and nobody out, and Giambi up. Giambi hit his first pitch for a single, 2 on and nobody out. And then he retired Williams, Matsui, and Posada to get out of that jam. Kim stepped off the slab and then looked Matsui back.
Well, that's not a guy you need to worry about. He's going to be at second base when this pitch is over with. Why you even look over there is beyond me. Your attention needs to be on Jorge Posada.
And Millar is playing 30 feet behind him.
He ain't coming in. And yet Kim still checks it.
25 feet maybe. There goes Matsui. Strike 2. Matsui into second base, uncontested. $34,787. The sellout crowd at Fenway Park. Everybody rising, hoping that Kim can wrap it up right here. Kim, since becoming the closer, has sort of created a chain reaction through that Boston bullpen. And the Boston bullpen has had a 3.09 ERA since Kim became the closer. He jammed him with the slider into and out of the Boston dugout. David Ortiz came out and asked for relief. The standings right now, Boston at 2.5 back of the Yankees. With a chance to take this series. They have not taken a series from the Yankees this year. Oh, and 2 the count. Posada along the left field line. Manny Ramirez. He's got it. Can he hold it? He holds it. And the ball game is over. Manny Ramirez with the ball.
Sure. NewEnglandPGA.com. Sunday nights at 7:30, Tuesdays at 5:30, exclusively on NESN.
The Red Sox have done it again tonight. Spins and fires and gets it. Holds this towards deep right center field. He dives and makes the catch. Boston wins. Is it a monster shot? Yes, it is. Way struck him out. How about that? Looks and look easy, doesn't it? It is fair and it is gone. Red Sox win it. Ball is gone.
Here we are at Hadlock Field. I'm Les Otten with Bob Rogers and Bob Tewksbury. The Boston Globe pre-game report. Read about it after the game, and the Globe preview it before the game in the Boston Globe pre-game report. It's more than your average pre-game show, hosted by our Bob Rogers and featuring Globe writers and studio analysts. 30 minutes before Sox and Bruins game time, right here on NESN.
That was outstanding for your first promo. Do you want to keep this and frame it?
No, that's okay. I just take the $2.
Was that a great feeling? You want some money? See, now, how long did it take you, Bob, to get a clean read? Look at the look. Great to have you with us tonight here on NESN. We've had a lot of fun having.
Still working on it.
Red Sox Vice Chairman Les Otten in the booth with us to give us really a unique perspective from an ownership angle. And Les, I would think these coming days, even though, as you mentioned, you basically let your ownership team do the deal, but I would imagine everybody in the ownership group would be anxious to find out what happens as far as the trading deadline is concerned over the next week.
We'll be watching our emails. We got a great system of watching stuff.
You guys find out, by the way, before everybody else? Like, is there some kind of a protocol in terms of a deal is made, and is it shot off to the ownership group first? I mean, not for approval, but just for notification?
I think we know pretty close to real time as you can get what deals have been done and what's happened. you know, Bob shouldn't feel bad about, you know, about my being able to read that. He could actually play the game of baseball. I might be able to talk about it, but, you know, there's a big difference there.
Trust me, he reminds me of that all the time.
You know, he's going to get better at this, and at 54, I'm never going to be playing the game of baseball.
I don't know. I saw something on a late night infomercial about reversing the aging process. You don't think that's real? You don't think they can do that?
Is he talking to us?
He's talking to you.
Oh, so the hearing goes. That's the first thing that goes when you get older or less.
There is fantasy camp, however.
You love the fantasy camp.
Oh, boy, do I love fantasy camp.
You going again this year?
Absolutely. If I could go twice, I'd go twice. I mean, where else can you go and have the Red Sox greats? You know, like last year, I hit Bill Lee in the butt with my fastball. It didn't faze him at all, but he got to razz me for the next 6 or 7 days.
Oh, costly leadoff walk issued by Rudrud. You're protecting a 1-0 lead. That's the last thing you want to do is to walk Myro.
That's one of those, the last pitch there was like, oh, I don't want to walk him. I hope I can throw a strike and guide it in there. And, you know, it's 6th inning, and he knows that it's almost game time here. See what Rudrud, this is a part of development that only happens by pitchers being allowed to pitch into these situations. And we've talked about pitch counts a lot, both on extra innings and in our telecast, Bobby. And, you know, this is what I talk about when I think limiting pitch counts prohibit development, because this situation right here is important. And it's important that when you get to Boston in the 6th inning and there's a guy on first base, that you feel like you can get out of this situation and not be taken out of the game.
Yeah, so many times the mentality is just to get the team close, not get the team through it. You condition the pitchers to just work those few innings. Not just physically, but mentally as well.
Oh, mentally is the key. And then physically, you're right, by the constraints of a pitch count, that's what you develop. 5-inning pitchers.
Navarro up the middle and through into center field for a hit. On his way to third base to test the arm of Jeremy Owens is Brian Myro. No play at third. And Trenton has something cooking here. Runners at the corners with nobody out.
That's a good play by Owens. You know, there's a play that was not made. That was a good play. Base hit up the middle. Schrager just can't quite get there. J.O. has a chance right there. Oh, maybe not. And he's going to make the right throw. He throws the ball to shortstop. I don't think there's any play there preventing the runner from going to second and stay in the double play.
I
No, I don't
he was
think
going
so.
to have a play at third.
No, I didn't. I didn't think there was, and I think you concede.
I'm with Tukes. I think he was thinking about it. He changed his mind and just threw a stiff one to the shortstop.
He changed his mind in mid-thought.
Runners at the corners now with nobody out. Mike Vento, the hitter. It's a 1-0 game. High and deep to left. If it's fair, it's gone, and it is a foul ball. Come on back. It's just a strike. That was inches. Almost hit the Fisk pole and left. Wow.
There's no one warming up in the Sea Dogs bullpen that I can see. Now would be a good time, I think, to go out and talk to Brett Rudrud, only with the fact that, you know, he's given up 2 straight hits, a long fly ball that was almost a 3-run homer. Just a chance to collect your thoughts and say, you know, you're still in control of this situation.
Swing and a miss, 0-2. Sea Dogs scored a run in the bottom of the first, and so far that run has held true. Ron Johnson will give away the game-tying run in exchange for 2 outs. He'll play the infield back.
And that's why I think that throw to third, or the non-throw to third, was so important, that if the ball gets by, should the ball get by Euclid, you have the potential go-ahead run on second. Right now, you give up the run for 2 outs.
0-2 pitch in the dirt, gets away. The runners will all move up a base, and we're tied at 1. And this ballpark got quiet in a hurry.
Got empty in a hurry. I think everyone home thinking we're going to win 2.
Well, just like that, Trenton has come back to tie this game up. Tough pitch for the catcher to handle, Brian Lloyd.
Well, it hit the plate. Lloyd did everything that he was supposed to do. position-wise. He slid around. The ball hit the plate, came up high off his chest protector. Not a lot he can do on that. Really unfortunate break for the Sea Dogs on an 0-2 pitch.
1-2 pitch. He struck him out. Big strikeout for Brett Rudrud. And now will be interesting to see what Ron Johnson wants to do here with first base open. Here's the strikeout.
Nice breaking ball out of the zone. Vento had no chance at that. The best chance he had to hit a ball was the first one that he got, and he yanked it foul. And after that, he looked silly on the breaking balls, and that's what they were trying to do. 0-2, throw the curveball under the zone. Happened to hit the plate, bounce up, allowing the tying run to score for the Thunder.
Kind of surprised. They'll pitch to Rifkin, the left-handed hitter, with the righty on the hill. Right-handed hitter on deck. First base is open. First pitch misses. Again, this is like being in the 8th inning. We'll play 7. Nightcap of a doubleheader here in Portland, Maine.
It's like Jake Chapman's warming up in the bullpen. Little sidewinder lefty.
Rudred down to first base. McGowan stays with the hop, flips to first. Out is recorded. So the decision to pitch to Rifkin to this point has paid off. 2 outs.
Well, that's an unfortunate break, but you know what? You've got to battle and keep the go-ahead run right where he is. The game's tied. It's unfortunate, but situation again. Development, pitching in a close game late in the game with the threat of the opposition taking the lead. Those are developmental stages that come infrequently.
I think Les would like to have an extra inning game in his broadcasting debut.
Les?
I'm supposed to answer that question?
Well,
I thought it was, sure. I can do that.
You like extra inning?
I'm actually watching the game here.
You turn into a fan.
No, it's really interesting right now is, Kipper's coming out. They're going to have a little conversation. And, we're 1-1. The game means a lot to both managers. And there's an awful lot that's going on that we're not knowing about right now. And, they're thinking about the fact that, hey, listen, we're really only in the bottom of the 6th or the top of the 6th. And there's a lot of baseball left to be played that we can play tonight. And they're figuring out who they got left, what they're going to do in the bullpen. And, like you guys were saying before, they'd like to get through this game without having to use another pitcher.
Now, you just said, Les, top of the 6th. It's just like the top of the 8th inning. Go-ahead run is 90 feet away with Mitch Jones, the hitter.
And we're learning a lot about this young man, too. Coming up from A-ball today. Or yesterday. When did he get here? Today?
Probably yesterday.
Probably yesterday. Pitched this game. Pitching a whale of a game.
Really 2 outstanding starting pitching performances tonight for Ron Johnson's team in the first game of this doubleheader. Ryan Cameron went 5 1/3, gave up 2 runs on 6 hits, walked 1, struck out 3. And so far here in game 2, Brett Rudrud has gone 5 2/3, 1 run on 4 hits.
And it was his only walk thus far, a leadoff walk in this inning that led to the Thunder's only run.
Now, good things don't happen when you issue leadoff walks.
And the difference of the game right now for us winning is a 1 bounce on the home plate.
Pitch pours in for a strike. It's 2-2.
Well, I got my 2s up on the board. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs.
2 fingers on the ball.
2 fingers on the ball.
1-1 the score. In the top of the 6th, the 2-2 pitch. Jackknifes him back off the plate just a little bit, and it's a full count.
All right, so I'm going foul ball on this pitch.
All right, it has not happened yet tonight.
I know. I'm going foul ball.
Great stat.
You're not getting backed up very well by the baseball gods tonight.
No, I guess it's professional courtesy for you guys that I'm wrong.
3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. That ball in the dirt. Here comes the go-ahead run. And just like that, the Trenton Thunder, they've grabbed the lead. It's 2-1. Wow.
Well, you can see RJ, he's going to go out to the mound now, but it's unfortunate again. Another slider in the dirt. This time goes to Lloyd, goes to his right. The ball looked like it kicked off his glove, kicked back out over his left shoulder, back to the backstop, allowing Navarro to score the second run. And here comes Jake Chapman. What a good job by Brett Redroot. Even with this is the developmental situation that he'll learn from. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad.
And Ron Johnson was sure to make Redroot know that he appreciated the performance he gave him tonight. The clap for everybody to see as well, to give the manager's approval, but he does go to the bullpen with his team down now by 1 run. It's 2-1. We're back to tell you about the new pitcher after this.
Don't need to adjust your set.
Tune in and get out each week with Nesson Outdoors, television's only all-New England original outdoor programming block. It's 3 hours of fresh air, fun, and more. Charlie Moore, hosting all new episodes of Charlie Moore Outdoors, Northeast Journal, Camo Country, Let's Go Boating, and Divers Down. For outdoor adventure and a whole lot of more, it's Nesson Outdoors, sponsored by Obashan Hardware. Sunday nights at 8 on Nesson.
Watch NewEnglandPGA.com Sunday nights at 7:30 and Tuesday evenings at 5:30 exclusively on Nesson. Each week we'll get great instruction from New England PGA members, plus golf tips from the Stowe Acres Golf School. We'll visit the Woodstock Inn, the Queechee Club, the Bethel Inn, Granite Links Golf Club, and we'll get a first-hand look at one of the newest private courses in New England, the breathtaking Lake Winnipesaukee Golf Club in New Hampshire. NewEnglandPGA.com. Sunday nights at 7:30, Tuesdays at 5:30, exclusively on Nesson.
2-1. We're in the 6th inning. We just had a pitching change. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Portland Sea Dogs and the New England Sports Network and is intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, or accounts of this game without the expressed written consent of the Portland Sea Dogs or the New England Sports Network is strictly prohibited. You can't do it. New pitcher, Tukes.
New pitcher's Jake Chapman. Chappie's a 29-year-old man. 24 games, 6-0. He just came off the disabled list. He's another Sea Dog that was on the list. He had a strained lat muscle in these 38 innings. A lot of hits, not a lot of walks, a lot of strikeouts. He's trying to figure out, being a crafty lefty, he's got a couple of angles down from the side, and it's tough to pick up. But Jake has been a recipient of some good luck in the release spot, winning 6 games.
All right, so the new pitcher on for the Portland Sea Dogs. What's this? You didn't, what's wrong, Tukes?
Oh, that goes to him? I lost another bet.
You know, gambling is illegal.
Oh, we're talking about
no, this is about Sea Biscuits.
Sea Biscuits. Actually, that's a movie right now, too, isn't it?
A good movie. And a great book.
You didn't read a book.
I'm going to read it.
I knew it, see? I'm going to read it.
Read Mickey Cochran's book if you're going to read your book.
I don't read baseball books.
Oh, they're great. He's got great stories.
Tukes, tell me a little bit about this new pitcher in terms of Chapman's delivery.
Well, he's as I say, he's got the niche as a sidewinding lefty, Mike Myers and some other lefties, situational lefties. There's one up there now, and as we know, recently with the trade of the Red Sox and Orozco and
bouncing a short do-or-die play, and he does. Nice play at shortstop by Raul Nieves to record the out. And the Portland Sea Dogs now will be chasing a run. 2 runs across for Trenton. We go to the bottom of the 6th. It's 2-1.
It takes a great team to cover a great.
Hey, stop everything. Shelterman here, your local cover-it instant garage and greenhouse dealer. You name it, we can cover it. Boats, RVs, four-wheelers, watercraft, cars, snowmobiles, lawn equipment, tractors, work trucks, you name it. Sales, installation, service, the Shelterman covers it all.
Stop in today and call because our dad is the Shelterman.
Full-time protection for your part-time toys.
Thank you for choosing the Chassis Works, the Newport area's choice for collision repairs.
The Chassis Works, Route 2 in Newport, 368-3331.
Lots of Hawaiian shirts out there on the field. I wanted to get Les down there to do the lobster toss. Have you ever tried it?
I have not tried I have tried lobster, but I have not tried the lobster toss.
I would say if the lobster toss was something that happens after you eat lobster dinner at a bad restaurant or something. But you actually...
There's no such thing as a bad lobster in Maine.
But you do have some athletic ability. I can remember a year ago you getting throwing lessons and stuff down on the field, and after you missed a pop-up, and the easy pop-up in the luxury box, and you'd go down there and take your ground balls. And
I've gotten much better. I caught a ball the other day. I took it up and to Don and Jerry. Caught one in the box. They signed it.
You caught it or picked it up?
No, they caught it in the box. It's recorded. They signed it. So I'm 1 for 2 now, and I'm getting rid of that stigma.
No, we'll always remember it. All right, we have a new pitcher now for the Trenton Thunder.
That would be Greg Hansel, 6'5", 220. Played in Japan last year. Recently into Double-A, 5 innings pitched, 6 strikeouts. Big right-hander. Looked like he throws a split-fingered fastball. So I was gripped down in the bullpen on a couple of shots.
So now Portland has a job to do, guys. They've been leading this game since the first inning. Pushed 1 run across in the bottom of the first, and that's it. All zeros across the board, just 3 hits. Kevin Youkilis, though, will make it 4. Leadoff man aboard.
Well, he's the right guy you'd want to have up in that situation. Either hit, walk, error. Somehow he's going to get on base, and he does again off of